Politics is a debate that I took part in Hay last year with a few people. You'll hear who they are. One of them is a member of parliament. They were at that point. She was the shadow leader of the House of Commons, which is way less cool than it sounds. That just that's just like a position for like the person in the opposition party who like it's like mostly an administrative kind of role. But basically somebody in this sort of, I don't know, like maybe the center left of the kind of more Starmer than Corbyn kind of element of the Labour Party in Britain. There's also like a DJ who's on that panel. So in any case, let's roll that clip, talk about it for just a minute, and then we'll bring on Matt.
Thank you very much, and thank you very much for coming. I think this is going to be a really fascinating panel. We've got great guests here. So what are we going to talk about? Well, the COVID pandemic opened our eyes to the jobs that society can't live without. From lorry drivers to supermarket shelf stackers, the roles often seen as lower status proved indispensable. So both left and right called for unprecedented wage rises in these newly valued and vital sectors. But changes in wage levels also imply a reassessment of the relative value that we attach to the roles themselves. So should we conclude that we have overvalued professional and middle-class office and management roles? Should we abandon the assumption that a university education leads to a more highly paid and valued role and eradicate current social hierarchies in order to level up? Or should we retain pay differentials and protect the status quo with the educated elite taking their rightful place at the top? That's what we're going to discuss today. So on to our speakers. Ben Burgis is a philosophy professor at Morehouse University Perimeter College, a columnist for the Jacobin magazine and ARC Digital Media, and the co-host of the Dead Pundits Society. Thangam Dagmaner is Labour MP for Bristol West and shadow leader of the House of Commons. And Nimone Metaxas is a DJ, radio presenter, television presenter, and producer.
Yeah, that's so. I very poor facial control there. I'm cringing because I think they had like a bio that was already like 2 years old or something at that point, and then also just got mixed up about some of the stuff in the bio. So they like merged together the names of like 3 different universities they're taught at various points into like one super college. And then also said that I was the co-host of the Dead Pundit Society, which is in fact a show I did co-host before I started this one, but I had not for a long time before last summer. But in any case, putting that aside, do want to go on to watch and Arc Digital Media. That was I was a columnist for Arc Digital Media. That was also a while ago, but whatever. Let's watch just a little bit of the debate itself. Just give me a sense.
Yeah. And I gotta say, I don't want to judge people by their names, but they just have those like fancy. They just sound like very fancy names. What is her name? Like Nimone Metaxas or something like that. It sounds like these are like just really sophisticated folks that you're on the panel with.
So, as always, we're going to start with each of the panelists doing a 3-minute pitch as to where they stand on the question, do we need to abandon the assumption that a university education leads to a more highly paid and valued role and eradicate current social hierarchies? Ben Burgis.
Thank you. So as not to bury the lead, I do think we need to eradicate current social hierarchies. I want to say that at the outset. That said, I do also want to push back a little bit against the framing, because I think it's very telling that when we think about social hierarchies, what we're really talking about in that question is the inequality between people with certain kinds of good jobs that you need to go to college to do and people with other kinds of jobs. And there is a lot you can say about what's wrong with the level of inequality between those two groups in our society. I agree with that. But I don't actually think that's the most important economic hierarchy structure in our society. If you think about the difference between somebody who's works at an Amazon warehouse where they do literally backbreaking labor, look into the injury rates, and somebody who has an MBA and has an office job for Amazon and works at a nice air-conditioned office at a desk, the second person has a vastly better life than the first person, no doubt about it, but they're both peasants compared to the guy who owns the company, and by the way, also owns his own spaceship, right? Just to put that in perspective. And so I think that any path towards a more equal society has to focus on that much bigger inequality at the outset by, I would argue, democratizing the economy, either by taking corporations like Amazon into state ownership to run them in public interest, converting them into internally democratic.
That's exactly where the free trial cuts off.
Yeah. So the end of the sentence was just converting them into internally democratic worker cooperatives or some combination of the two.
They had to cut that off.
Yeah.
We don't want them knowing about that.
I will. In any case, I think you have to subscribe right now to their service. That's the Institute for Art and Ideas that runs this festival every year. To get that full debate right now. But for anybody who's watching this very late at night for you in the UK, if you're going to be in Wales at the end of May, so like May 28th and 29th, I am going to be back there. So I guess I'm willing, they're willing to have me back for a second year of being, I would say the person who gets to say, crazy communist things at the stages. Hey, but they do have a Slovenian person for that also, and
Cory Doctorow.
What's that?
And Cory Doctorow is going to.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Who just wrote a book called Choke Point Capitalism. But anyway, they have a. So yeah, and then I guess there's also Aaron Bastani. I think was there at least last year. So there's a. There are a few Reds who are allowed there, but in any case, I am going to be back there at the end of May. So again, if you are going to be in the UK, then want to go, going to do I think 3 events in total. So one of them is a panel with another philosophy professor and a physicist called The Best of All Possible Worlds, which is a sort of lighter, more fun thing, talking about, public fascination with many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics and, alternate dimensions movies and all that stuff. And then also doing, so that's on the May 28th, May 28th, I believe. There's I don't know, it's have cake and champagne to talk about philosophy thing that doing, and then on the next day, on May 29th, I'm giving a lecture there called Marx Deserves Better Critics. Which I suppose is self-explanatory. So I don't think it's actually in the. I don't think it is in the episode description right now, but we'll put all that in the episode description.
You have been watching free public content from Give Them an Argument. To access every single episode of the show, the main show on Monday nights, all of the streams, all of the debate breakdowns, all of the patron-exclusive postgames on Monday nights, all of the patron-exclusive bonus episodes every week, and much, much more, go to patreon.com/Ben Burgis. I cannot resist ending this with, don't be foolish.